This meeting is being recorded.
All right, so again, just renovation training for today, and I'm going to go through what I do to analyze a deal from a renovations perspective. How much are they going to cost? How do I do that from my desk at the office or at home like now, instead of, being out on site? And then what I do for that process, you guys should be doing while on site. Okay. Now your version of it, we're going to talk about two different versions today, the full-blown version and the standard renovation estimate version. Kyle, you haven't been here long enough to know what I mean when I say standard renovation. I'm going to show you. The reality is that we're trying to give you a tool to use, so that when you're making your offers, you don't have to do a full-blown itemized renovation estimate. You don't have to do that. Here's the standard things that are going into this house. And then I want you to find these 5 things, which is roof, furnace, windows, and then the square footage of paint and square footage of flooring. That's it. Everything else we can pretty much standardize. If we're buying an interior townhome, or we're buying a bi-level on a 1/4 acre, even in those 2 properties, we have a standard list that we're going to pretty much do on every house. So as acquisition agents, we're just going to say, hey, we have a base cost, it's $38,000. And then from there, as long as you get roof, furnace, windows, paint, and flooring, as long as you get those numbers correct in your estimate, because those are what would change from a small house to a big house. Those are what would change, if you didn't look for them. You can't standardize. And if you standardized a furnace on every house, then you'd be 10 grand over on a lot of houses that already have a furnace. So we'll talk about the standard reno today, and that's what we'll focus on primarily. And then I'm just going to show you, when I look through the folder, how do I find the things that, I need to know, so that things that are outside the standard, right? So let me jump in here. I'm just going to use a live deal. So I haven't done 220 Holly Street in Harrisburg yet. It's this one here. All right, so our Google Drive folder will have pictures in it. Hopefully those are here. Yep. And then CJ did a due diligence walk. And here's the due diligence folder. So I have pictures from acquisitions, and I have pictures and notes from a due diligence walk. All right. Now here's a sheet. This is Jimmy's deal analysis sheet. And then down here is, on the second tab, is the standard renovation estimating sheet. Okay. And that says 44. And remember, I'm going to take the square footage out of here and here. Now I highlighted in green the things that you need to look for as an acquisition agent: windows, roof, and note that you have small, medium, and large roofs. That's all the more detail you need to get. Furnace, they're highlighted in green, the 5 things that you need to look for. Paint and flooring. Okay. Everything else in here is at a standard cost for $40,000. So I updated this since we've been using 38,000. I came in, I was like, is it really 38,000? It's really 40. And let's talk about what it is. Now so this says seal coat driveway. The point here is that there's usually a sidewalk, or something there between here, a sidewalk and the driveway, for us to that we're going to need to do some repairs on. Then when we say a standard, it just means that these things happen 80% of the time. We're going to put some kind of money into the driveway and the sidewalk, and it's only going to be a little bit, but it's enough that we need to count it. Okay. This shutters should not be in here. Looks like a bad edit there. Storm doors, we have, wow, it looks like this did get edited quite a bit. Somebody used this. Here, let me do one more thing. Whenever you start a new project, you want to go to the master copy of first choice deal analysis. Copy from this. I'm always going back and fixing the numbers. For some reason, people will change them inside of here. When you get to here, you want to make a copy. Okay. So I'm going to say that this is the training copy of the master deal analysis before you change anything. Find the master, make a copy. Now we should be rolling. All right, so again, you see the green categories. Let me just make sure there's nothing crazy or out of whack in here. All right, we're good. All right, so 80% of the time, we're going to do something to the driveway, seal it, fix a crack, something like that. Same with the sidewalk. 80% of the time, we're going to put 2 exterior doors in. The roof, again, is something that is not standard. You have to look for. So if it was small, medium, and large, you would fill that out here. Gutters and downspouts, 80% of the time, we have $1,400 in gutters and downspouts. Pressure wash, shed removal, repair and stain deck. So whether it's a deck, it's a porch. And a lot of times if it's repair, then it's like $1,400. It's not $700. So I put a $700 number in here to show you what the average is. Landscaping, $1,400. Tree removal, I just added that in because we were getting hit on just about every property, just removing some kind of tree. So it is, if it's 80% of the time, it's in here as a standard. This looks like gutters got duplicated. Then we do have 80% of the time we're replacing a kitchen on the flip. This is one of the reasons we ask for pictures to say if we can keep it or not. But inside of a standard renovation of $38,000 to $40,000, there's a kitchen at $5,000. Laminate countertops, tile backsplash, kitchen knobs, black appliances. We budget for 2 interior doors. 80% of the time, there's 2 interior doors and closets, shelving that's needed. The bathroom package we have right here. What's important to note is what's in the quotes, or parentheses rather: vanity, floor, fixtures, mirror, and exhaust fan. So that's a bathroom package: vanity, floor, fixtures, mirror, and exhaust fan. And that's going to cost us about $1,600. We also have a surround tile or a shower surround in here, and or glazing. So it's, we're always spending about $2,600 in a bathroom. Then you have the shower faucet. We're usually boxing out some ductwork that doesn't have to do with the bathroom, but it's just a separate line item. Again, going up here, so you're replacing sump pump, remediating mold, dry locking the basement walls, adding baseboard heat should not be in here as a standard. Coming down through, you can see one thing I didn't mention is there's categories here on the left. So you start out with all the exterior stuff. Then you go to the garage and the kitchen and the inside stuff over here on the left. Then the bedrooms and bathrooms. And then you go to the basement. And that's going to have is it an unfinished basement? Are we finishing it? Any structural stuff here? And then if we're finishing it, what things are we doing? What are we adding for that? What's up with the attic? And then, plumbing, HVAC, electrical, and entire house items. So know that they're in categories. 80% of the time we're replacing the water heater. We have miscellaneous plumbing repairs. We're always sending plumbers to and from for miscellaneous stuff. So there has to be a budget for that. See, the furnace is not in here as a standard or a budget. Now this has replace panel, keep service at 1,600. We're just always, again, much like the plumber, you're always having an electrician out there to do something. Like, and it's rarely less than $500-600. On average, it's about 1,600, even when we're not replacing the panel. If we have to replace the panel, great. Now we have a budget for it. And that doesn't include outlet switches and cover plates. So that's here. Outlet switches, cover plates, and install interior lights. Those are labor and material numbers. Smoke detectors. These are all standards. Then here, this is where you would put your flooring in. So if it was a 1,200 square foot house, I would put 1,200 in here and 1,200 in here. Okay. Now, those are prices are at $3 a square foot for each one of those, which is high, and it's meant to be that way so that you have a good budget and you're starting out with a higher number. Hopefully, we're getting both of those for cheaper than that. Again, here's interior doors, which looks like a duplicate because I had 2 interior doors over on the left. I only fill this out when it's the entire house of doors. You know, let's say you're going to put 11 new doors in, it's going to be $2,700. Okay. I did have a line item for a standard over in the bedrooms, so I'm going to leave that there. Mailbacks, address plate, home inspection, house cleaning, all in the standard because you need it every single time. Standard demo for 2,500. And again, there's the closet shelves, which again looks like a duplicate from over here. Oops. And where does that land us for standard 36.8? Okay. Does everybody follow me so far? So as an acquisition agent, you're actually going to walk into the appointment with a $38,000 renovation. And rather than filling this whole sheet out, you're just going to say it's going to cost me $38,000. Plus, I'm going to have to do 12 new windows. I'm going to do, this is a medium size roof for me. So I'm going to say that's 9,000 here. Then I'm going to say that I have to do a new system in ductwork for 10,000. And the house is going to be 1,200 square feet. My renovation estimate is 66,000. That's all I want acquisition agents to do. Okay. Now, when you send me pictures, this is what I do. I look at this and I know what's included in the standard already. So number one, I'm going to go into the due diligence pictures or the acquisition agent pictures. And I'm just going to verify, like, does it need a new roof? Did you miss the roof? Does it really need a new roof? Does it need a new bathroom? Is there things in here that aren't in my standard reno? So let me go back. So hard to see the roof from the front. So we're going to check it from the back. It's got 3 architectural shingles here. You would hope there looks like maybe a flat roof on this one. See if I can find some more exterior pictures. Not in that folder. And in city properties, it's going to be really hard to see the roof, particularly if it's a flat roof. So the front roof was replaced the same time as the back. I'm going to guess that they did. This is somebody who's, you know, cognizant of maintenance, and they probably took care of this upper roof. So I'm not going to put it in right now. Just know that city properties, like, you're obviously looking for leaks because you can't get up on the roof. Then you're asking about age. And then if it's over 10 years old, then you're going to budget to replace it. Okay. If it's a flat roof and it's over 10 years old, you'll budget to replace it. Actually, here you go. CJ did get a picture of some of them. Nope, that's the Bilco doors. Okay, so when I come in here, I looked and saw that that roof looks good. Now, as an acquisition agent, I'm asking them, like, when was the roof replaced, checking the seller's disclosure, and just verifying. If it's a flat roof and it's over 10 years old, then you're going to put it in here. If it's a shingled roof and it's over 20 years old, then you're also going to put a roof in. Okay. So a couple different ways to find out if the roof needs replaced or not. Again, I got a standard reno here. Let's see if we needed windows. Looks like we have replacement windows here, but there is some chipping and peeling paint. See that there? And then the back. Front and side. So all these windows look like they were replaced. Let me try to get up here. So we have some old windows down below with some chipping and peeling paint. It's hard for me to tell if these are wood or if that's a storm window on the outside. It looks like a storm window. Yeah, and then it looks like these are old wood windows here. So they've only replaced a few windows. These two down here. And the way that I'm able to tell that is when you got to give a careful eye to this. Like the outside of this looks like aluminum and it looks new. Same with here, right? But then you see, I don't know if you guys can see, like you see this grid right here. And then you see these grids right here. This grid's a storm window grid. This is the, window itself, a wood window grid. And then your vinyl replacements, see how there's no grids at all? It's because the screen is fitting down here. They don't, and it's a vinyl window, so they don't need storm windows. But grids usually give it away. Everybody follow me on that? That's what tells me if it's from a picture, if it's going to be a vinyl or a wood window. If I'm not able to tell by zooming in and it's just like, I can't see it, then I start looking for grids. Does that make sense? So we actually do need windows here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll come back to the sheet. I'm going to put 5 windows in here. Coming over here to the furnace. All right, let's talk about furnaces for a second. So this is a boiler. It's not forced air. You can tell because there's boiler pipes coming out of it versus ductwork. When you look at a boiler, one of the most important things to look for is rust along the bottom or heat spots that are around the side. Okay. That's going to tell you the heat spots around the side are going to tell you that the core is wearing out and that it's going to need replaced. One of the best ways to tell, is just by looking at it and saying, is this a clean furnace? If it's clean, then it's working properly. If it's all like something spilled on the top here, there's a lot of rust on these fittings, then it's old. It's going to need replaced. If you see a heat spot on it, it's definitely going to need replaced. If it's rusted at all, it's definitely going to need replaced. All those rules apply for a
heat
boiler.
spot look like? Oops, sorry.
No, you're good. Like you can't barely see this bottom corner here.
Yeah.
Heat spot looks like the paint is chipping and peeling on it, or that the paint is melting on it. Okay. You'll note that the outside of the furnace looks like the paint is melting off.
It almost looks like a big rust spot.
It does almost look like a big rust spot. Yep. It's a good call. Okay. So then if it's forced air, if it, that we talked about the boiler, if it's forced air, then this sounds pretty stupid, but it's just, we're trying to, make this super simple. Is it tan? If it's tan and it's forced air, it's probably newer than 1995. And 1995 was, 20 years to 2015, so 27 years. So if it's tan, it's most likely you're in okay shape. If it's a forced air furnace and it's tan, most likely you're in good shape. You don't have to budget for it. Okay. Now, if it's green, if it's red, if it's yellow, if it's some other color, then they don't make those anymore. And they didn't make them, after say 1995. So that you definitely know you have a 30-year-old or older furnace and it needs replaced. Other than that, some of the other things you can do to check a furnace or pull a filter out, see how dirty it is. You can, look at the ductwork, see if it's all banged up. You can, there's a lot of times service stickers on them. If there's no service stickers, nobody's ever serviced it, nobody's ever put a date on it, it's probably gonna be shot. Okay. Or have to need to be replaced. If it has a bunch of service dates and it looks like people have been taking care of it and getting it cleaned and all that stuff, then, and it's tan, you're in good shape. So spend enough time on that. In this one, this furnace is a little questionable to me. So I'm going to go ahead and add it in. Now it's a boiler. So instead of a $10,000 for a new ductwork system, I am putting in replace boiler only for $6,600. Okay. And we can probably get them around $5,000 or maybe even 4,500 sometimes, but 6,600 is a good number. So then going back to the paint and carpet, this house is about 1,000 to 1,040 square feet. So down here, I'm going to put 1040, 040. And then that's it. I put paint, furnace, paint, flooring, furnace, windows, and roof. I've looked at in the pictures and they're all in here. So my reno number is 51. Okay. Again, I'm being you guys as an acquisition agent. And I'm being me as a director of acquisitions. What happens after this is totally, it's not totally different, but it's different. What happens after this, CJ is going to run out there and he does the due diligence. So CJ's trying to go was trying to go line by line. Okay. So you see his stuff's all cleaned out, started over, and he came up with all of his line item numbers. And where did he land? 56. Okay. Now his is super detailed. I'm not sure why quartz countertops at 17 grand. Probably just a typo there. So there, I just fixed one thing and reno was actually 40. I'm not going to look at this in detail, but I just wanted you guys to see that, whether he's walking it for due diligence or I'm walking it for due diligence, when I get out there, I'm starting from scratch. Okay. I'm going to start from scratch and I'm going to come up with a scope of work and a budget for that property that fits that property. It's no longer a standard. I'm walking it to see what I'm going to do to renovate it. Okay. So, any questions so far before I keep going here? Kyle, you're good. Kara, you good?
Yep, I'm good.
And you've actually been in these sheets. Kara, you've been in these sheets and working numbers yourself. What are your thoughts on what I've covered so far?
Yeah, it's definitely helpful. I didn't know you could just type in the square footage and it would calculate the flooring and paint. So that's a little nicer.
Nice. Okay. All right. So at this point, you're an acquisition agent. You've done a standard renovation estimate on the house. We put it under contract and now we're rolling. Once it's under contract, there's a due diligence walk. During that due diligence walk, we're doing a detail estimating scope of work from scratch. And the part that I skipped was where myself as the acquisitions manager is reviewing your pictures to come up with an offer number. So what I do in that case, you guys know that So I know I'm jumbling up here. I'm taking one step backwards. And we're going to talk about what we do while you guys are at the appointment. Okay, when you guys are at the appointment, you're sending these pictures from the appointment to me. And then you're saying, hey, we can pick this up at, $60,000 if renovation estimates are 55. Okay. Now what I do to approve that, I am mentally saying I'm starting at 38. I'm putting a roof, windows, furnace. So I follow the same process that we did here. I'm just not using the sheet to do it at that point in time. When I do look at these pictures, what I'm looking for are things that are outside of the standard. So for instance, if I go into the bathroom and I say, hey, like, standard bathroom package is going to replace the exhaust fan, the toilet, the vanity, the flooring. But what about this tile wall right here? Is that going to cost me extra money to get rid of or keep? When I demo that out, now I have drywall repair in here, right? But to me, as a manager, I'm looking at this, I'm like, that's not going to cost me more than like an extra $150. So I'm just going to keep moving. I'm looking for things that are like $1,200 or $1,500 ticket items that we haven't considered in a standard renovation estimate. And I'll just go through each picture and tell you what I think. So now I look at this picture and I look at the outside. His deck has been replaced. His railings have been replaced. Remember in the standard renovation estimate, we had deck and railings. He doesn't need them. So now mentally, myself in my mind as the director, I'm like, okay, minus 2,100. Okay, because he already has it, and I know I have about 2,100 in standards for this deck and the back porch in that 38,000. So I go to the next picture. I'm like, okay, I needed windows in that one. Bathroom I covered already. Come to the shower. It's like, okay, well, I have in a standard reno to replace the surround. It doesn't look like I need to. Doesn't look like I need to do anything really other than caulk. This thing looks good to me. I'll probably glaze this down here. Well, I had 1,200 in for this shower surround. So now minus 3,200. Everybody with me? Got some smoke detectors we still need. Yep, that's standard. That light switch outlets and cover plates need to replace. So does this lighting fixture, all part of the standard. Come in here. Oh, there's some chipping and peeling paint on this could be a roof leak, right? And come through here. The door looks good. Everything else in the room looks good. This floor looks half decent. Again, the light fixture. So go to the kitchen. Flooring looks decent here and here. So now I can take some flooring out or pick what I want to do for flooring. We already looked at that last picture on the outside. Those were new windows in the back. This is just a backyard. I don't see too many sidewalk issues there. This is newer PEX plumbing, so no issues there. I might not have to dry lock these walls. Boiler looks worse every time I look at it. They've already covered the asbestos piping, which is good. The hot water heater, when I look at this is not installed correctly. You're not allowed to have PEX plumbing directly to, this has to be metal from the water heater 12 inches up. These have to all be metal fittings, and they fitted this PVC right to the top of the tank. So that
Not
would,
vented either.
it's electric. Here's the electric
Oh,
line
okay.
coming down right here.
Okay.
Great call though. You want to look at the venting will always screw you up. Meaning like that's why a water heater isn't replaced 9 times out of 10. A water heater itself might not need replaced, but if the venting is wrong, then it rusted out the water heater, and now the home inspector is going to say it needs to be replaced. So good call there. So that hot water heater I'm keeping in the standard. We're replacing it because we are replacing it. We can fix it down the road, but right now I need a budget to replace it. The dining room floor looked good. This kitchen actually looked good to me. All these kitchens are really tiny. So we would do countertops there. So again, I was down minus 3,200. Now I'm going to be down another 5 for the kitchen. I'm going to say 4 because I'm going to put new countertops on it and leave put a new sink and stuff in it. So I'm off my standard reno right now. I'm minus 7,200. So I'm landing somewhere around, 31,000. Okay. Still going through here. And that's all I got for Jimmy's picks. Okay. So now mentally in my mind, after receiving your pictures from acquisitions, I'm at 32,000. So then I go, okay, I'm at 32. I might have to add in for that roof. I'm just doing this, sort of freehand. And I say I might have to add in, that roof, which is going to be, call it 10. So now I'm at 41. And I'm going to have to add in paint and flooring. So I'm going to use easy numbers, call that 6. So I'm at 47. And then I'm going to add in a new boiler. And if I were estimating and not using this sheet, I would use 5,000. So what do we got? 42. 42,000 reno. And CJ on his line item one came up with 40 without the countertop issue there. So does everybody see where I'm going with this? So I use a standard and then I see your pictures. And as I run through your pictures, I'm going plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, landing on a price. Once I land on how your pictures vary from the standard, once I have that price, then I add in roof, windows, furnace, paint, and flooring on top of, the modified standard number. Does that make sense? Or you guys think you could handle that on your own? You think you can start with a $38,000 base and say, hey, like it doesn't need a kitchen, I'm saving $5,000. So now it's 33. It does need, needs 3,000 on that porch instead of 1,200. So I need to add in another $1,800. Do you guys think you can get to that point where you don't need the sheet and you can just start to, the goal would be to get you guys to a point where you can start calling out what it's going to, what the renovation estimates are without using a sheet. And, frankly, I guess without calling me. So that's where I'd love to get you guys. I think if you do it this way, you learn what is on the standard, what is inside of 38, and then you can plus and minus stuff. Make sure you cover the big items, the big 5. And now you should be able to renovate estimates on a house in a matter of 3 to 5 minutes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you just have to know that a roof is roughly 10 grand, a furnace is 10 grand, appliances are, this and this, and yeah, round numbers.
Bingo. So the place I want you to start is, this standard renovation sheet. Okay. Kara, what questions do you have?
I don't think I have any. It was helpful, the furnace and the boiler, that differentiation. I think I'm good.
All right, so I have video walkthroughs of the 10 unit or the 10 property package of all those basements. I'm going to upload those to the training folder. And, let's do this for now. So that was a review of Jimmy's pictures that he gets. Now let's look at a review of the pictures that CJ gets on a due diligence walk and how they're different. Okay. You guys know you guys are doing a great job of sending these pictures. Front, back, kitchen, bathroom, shot of every bedroom if you can, pictures of the mechanicals in the basement. You guys are all doing a great job of that stuff. Picture of the hot water heater, furnace, etc. Okay. And then he has what, like maybe like 20, 25 pictures in here. When I go to a due diligence walk, CJ's got about 40 pictures in here, say 30 to 40. And then, what he's capturing is what he believes are actual issues. In this one, there wasn't a whole lot. We're actually taking this one and putting it back on the MLS, no reno. But again, so from a due diligence standpoint, the difference between this and Jimmy's pictures is see how CJ's capturing the floor and the walls. You guys want to be able to do that. He got a full view of the bathroom, versus a close-up picture. But again, I mean, you just really don't look in that toilet.
That's not a lovely picture.
No, but I'm looking for like wall work and stuff, right? I'm not finding any, so we're in good shape. No wall or ceiling work here. Looking for busted up doors, missing trim. I'm not seeing any. Floor is not in bad shape at all. Not at all. This is great. Pick this up at 50% of market value, and it has like all new flooring and just needs a coat of paint. Okay, so here we are. Now, the kitchen, usually there's some more issues. This is just a really small kitchen, not much to fuss over, but I'm looking at everything in the picture. Ceiling, walls, each one of the cabinets. So it looks like we might be missing some cabinet doors here, which could be an issue. That sucks. That's the first time I've seen that. Screen door looks okay. This door so far looks okay. There might be something going up to the top, going on in the top right here. You got a wallpaper border here. Otherwise, not much going on in that picture. Don't worry, things change when we get to the basement. That's where, 80% of your problems are. Okay. So, Kara, this is the kind of stuff that you'll like want to learn. Okay. And it doesn't happen overnight. Now down in the basement, my routine checkup would be my routine for just about everything is top down, just so I have some kind of process so I don't miss stuff. So I get to the basement, it's top down. Otherwise, I could be looking for stuff over here, over there, blah, 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 right? So I do the whole basement. I look along these band boards here. The band board is the board that runs perpendicular to the joist. This is your floor joist, and then the band board runs this way. It bands the joists together because it's a one board that runs like this, and it bands all those joists together. That's why they call it a band board. So up inside of here is where your termites would be. And then down along the joist this way, you want to just poke your pen up in there and see if this is soft. Down here on the end, you just want to like poke it, see if it's soft or rotten. If it's soft or rotten, it's probably water or termites. What they do is they get into this band board here from the outside ground, and then they come in each one of these joists and they'll just eat inside of this. For a long time, you won't know that they're inside of there until they eat a lot of it out, or until they start exposing the wood on the bottom. So top down, you go around the whole basement and the band board, and you're poking around looking for termite damage. That's that. By top down, you're checking the floor joists, because that's your ceiling in the basement. And then the next thing you're going to do after that, you're going to check all the basement walls. So you're just going to go through all the basement walls. So when I show you the Chambersburg property walks, I mean, when I walk those basements, I probably make like 6 loops in the basement, because every time I'm looking for something, one thing, not all 6 things at one time. Does that make sense? I can't stress that enough. You go down, you do one thing at a time. When you're in the basement, you check all the electric at the same time. You don't go to one side of the basement, check the electric, the plumbing, the wall, and then go to the other side of the basement, check the electric, plumbing, and the wall. That's how you'll miss stuff. So come down here, checking all the foundation walls. It looks like there was some issues here along the wall. Looks like somebody's been parging this or patching it, and definitely some moisture issues. So we have dry locking in our standard reno. I'm keeping that in. Looks like we're going to need to do that here, okay, just to fix this all up. You'll also know that there's a temporary support here. So there's some kind of issue with the support, or where they try to jack up the floor. And anytime you see a a metal post like this, you have to come out to your standard reno and add something in for structural. Jack floors up as needed. So in this one, I will put 2 in there, a number 2. It's probably going to take about 1,400. There's one post, right? It might take us 1 or 2 to fix it. You can't have that metal post in there. A home inspector would say that that's a temporary post, not a permanent support post. Anytime there's a metal post, you're putting in $700 at least to replace each one of them. Okay. That's the only other odd thing I saw down here, except there is a basement window that's needed here. Then when I go to the next picture, you see it doesn't look like there's a handrail coming down these steps. It's just kind of gated off, sort of. Again, if I were in person, I'd be doing all the ceiling joists at once, and I would come over here and check all the basement walls. But since I only have these pictures, I'm kind of going to have to jump around a little bit here. I don't see any issues with water or wires hanging down or water leaking just yet. There's the water heater, boiler. We've been through these pictures. Looks like there could be some water issue here. No, that's the post. That's another structural post. Some kind of water issue down here. And the other thing is this is the sewer line right here. Let's see if that's there's a bunch of white stuff around this waistline. I don't know that that's a sewer line. It looks a little too narrow to be a sewer line. But when you're walking the basement and the Chambersburg property as did, one of the most important things you can do is you check the whole sewer line, make sure it doesn't look wet. Make sure it doesn't look like there's any kind of moisture on it at all. This right here in the bottom looks like either moisture or effervescence that build up around that pipe. It's a question mark. Definitely could be an issue. Panel box, so long as it's 100 amp, you're good. And so long as it's a square D panel, see this yellow D here, you're good. The panel boxes that need replaced are the ones with the orange, teal, and red breakers. If they have any of those colors, honestly, if there's any colors in the panel box at all, you want to replace it. Colored breakers. Okay. See, these are black, and then there's a yellow square D logo on them. That's the ones you want. Anything else, typically if they're orange, it's a Federal Pacific box. If they're red or a teal color, it's a Sylvania type box, and you don't want those. They'll have to be replaced. So the other thing is I'm looking up here on the top of the panel box. I want to see what type of wiring is in here. If it's mostly, Romex wiring, which is wiring that's covered in plastic sheathing, then you should be good. When you get into this type of cloth wiring here, then it becomes questionable. So it looks like, 80-90% of this panel box was replaced with Romex wiring. And then there's this one old line in here that's this silver cloth covering that you're going to have to worry about. You're going to have to budget for. Now, it's in the standard reno. It would be part of the $1,600 of electrical issues you have to resolve later. But it's likely an ungrounded wire, and the outlet and this circuit might need replaced somewhere. So you're going to budget for it. That's about it for a panel box. And that's it for the basement. So the only thing we didn't talk about in the basement was you want to trace. When you see these wires in the panel box, they go up and then they go along the basement. You just want to follow them and see if any of them are hanging out, just hanging out loosey-goosey and they need repaired. Do they run into a junction box somewhere where that junction box then just feeds a bunch of old wiring? Just because we have Romex to the panel box doesn't mean that we have that Romex run all the way through the house. If you follow these wires and you hit anything other than what it looks like here, then that's an issue. If it just looks like this, they shoot out of here, they run down, it's all Romex until it goes up into the walls and into the floors, you're in great shape. The same thing would go for plumbing, okay? When you are at the hot water heater, and so the hot water heater brings the water supply into the house, it hits the hot water heater and then gets fed through the rest of the house. So when you're at the hot water heater, you look at the pipes, you go up, you go across the ceilings, you follow them. And if they look right, just like they do here, you're in good shape. If you start seeing like it changes from, plastic to copper, and it goes from plastic to a different kind of plastic, and they're like, it looks like somebody made the stuff up, then you're probably going to have issues. They go up and they go run straight and they go to their feeds and it's all the same type of material, then it wasn't repaired. It was put in new and it works. If it's all jumbled up, then it's been repaired a lot over time. And then you'd want to put a budget in for it. A budget for all new plumbing for a whole entire house is like $4,500. So if it's just supply lines, it's $2,000. If it's all drain lines, it's $2,000. Just use those numbers. Okay. This looks fine to me, so I'm not going to budget anything for it. We caught the home inspection item of having metal contact here at the top of the water heater just for hot water instead of PVC. But other than that, I don't see any plumbing or electrical issues. Now, the last thing I need to mention in the plumbing side, because you've checked the furnace, you've checked the hot water heater, you've checked the electric panel box. What we haven't discussed is checking the sewer line. So you got to find the main sewer line where it comes down into the basement. Where does it come out? So it usually comes straight down from wherever the bathroom is. So if you know where the bathroom is on the first or second floor, while you're in the basement, you're just looking for where it drops into the basement. Wherever that drops into the basement, that elbow is your 90% of the time where your pipes will show failure. It looks like water's running out of it or dripping down the outside. I don't have any real, like this would be an example of an elbow down here. That's not the sewer line. Okay. You're looking for that elbow of where it drops into the basement. And if it's like corroded, if it's cracked, if it looks shiny because it's wet, then you have an issue. Okay. So just make sure that you're always looking for those sewer lines. And then wherever it drops down in the basement, you follow it from there all the way to where it goes out of the house. You look all the way around it and you make sure it's not cracked or wet anywhere. And now you verified electric, plumbing supplies, plumbing waste lines via the sewer line. And then obviously last but not least, the furnace. So those are the big things in the basement, as well as structure on the walls. And that's, those basements will make or break your rehab. It's not Jenny's bedroom that's pink. You know what I mean? So the more time you guys spend down there, the better. More time you spend analyzing it, the better. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time there. Any questions? Was that helpful?
Yep.
Kara, what'd you learn?
Everything. A lot of good stuff.
What would be helpful for you guys from here? Like, how can I help you guys get better at renovating or estimating renovations?
For me, it's just going to be trial and error.